Hey, well sharers, did you know that you can actually impact your future? If not, I'm going to tell you all the ways or some of the ways that you can so you can be more educated to be able to make better judgment. So, someone told me the other day that we were kind of talking about a situation and they were actually like proud of themselves. They said, I actually am happy that my past self looked out for my future self. And I was just like, that was just so profound. And it allowed me to really think about what it is that we do in the now or in the past and how it's impacted our future and current state. So let's talk about current state. You can pay attention to the things you've done in your past and see the outcomes and or consequences that you've dealt with and realize that you had a choice to do something different. That is what life is about. Part of life is about being able to understand that we all make choices, whether good, whether bad, either way it turns out, whatever choice you choose, there is an outcome that comes from that choice. So you can be in a position to actually help out your future self. Regardless of what you've done before, regardless of your current state, if you shift your mindset, you'll be able to have a perspective that will change and look out for your future self. All right, so how do you do this? You make better choices by knowing that everything in life has a polar opposite. So, when it comes to good versus evil, hot versus cold, like versus dislike, like there's an opposite to everything. And once you can truly understand how that impacts your current state, then you can be more self aware of the choices that you make. So, one of my favorite examples is someone cutting you off while you're driving. Favorite example, because many people who drive experience this one way or another, right? So you're driving down the highway and someone cuts you off. And what does that do? It frustrates you. But here's the thing I've realized. When you are in your car, you are the only one that can hear yourself. That other person is minding their business. They're not hearing your reaction. But what God has taught me is, Terry, you have a choice in how you respond. You can respond by being frustrated, which is not what God wants me to do. God instead wants me to pray for that person. So it allows you to slow down and pick which side you're going to be on. So are you going to be on the side of frustration, which now you're angry, you're cursing at the person, you want to do something vindictive towards that person to kind of pay them back? Or are you going to choose to understand they may not have done it on purpose, and you don't understand what they're going through in their own headspace, and you don't really know what are the things that's impacting their choices. So you can take the stand and actually protect them and yourself by making a choice. So whichever choice you choose can lead to different outcomes. If you choose frustration, then therefore that frustration can lead you actually having a bad day, because now you're thinking about it, you're angry, you're taking it out on someone else, you're taking it out on yourself, and there's this trickle down effect of negative choices, negative experiences, right? It's a mirror. Or you can choose to pray for them. You know what, God, I pray that they become a better driver. I pray that they are in a space of awareness so they can see what they're doing. That way they are not doing something to harm someone else. So you pray for that person. And those two outcomes can impact your future self this way, right? Your future self. So your past self can also be, in a way, your current state. Because as I'm talking to you, the current state is now turning into the past, right? So how are you in that example helping out your future self? Because we've seen instances where people have made bad choices by going with the negative emotion, and now they're playing out things that has now caused them to go to jail or get a ticket or damage their car or harm someone else, and they did not protect their future self. Okay, I got to get used to which side. So I want you all to be able to thrive, know that prosperity is yours, know that you're able to have more of the better, okay? But you won't be able to get to that space until you truly understand which side of the fence that you experience and which side you should choose. everyone experience the negative emotions. Everyone experience positive emotions, but it becomes a choice in which one do you succumb to be able to understand how does that show up in your future state. Okay, you can protect your future self. You have the authority to make choices, which is where we come with free will, right? People try to challenge free will by saying, why are all these things happening in the world to people? And for the majority of it, if not all, but I'll just speak to the majority, I don't know everyone's circumstances, it boils down to a choice. Whether that choice was from someone's grandparent that now has a trickle down effect on, the grandchild, or it was something that they themselves do that is now causing disruptions in their life, delays in their life, that's impacting themselves and other people across the board. So there's a choice to everything. Everyone gets to make a choice. The problem is that many people are so programmed in what they're doing in their day to day that they're not taking time to self reflect and have that self awareness to know that they can have better. Okay? So in your future self, you can have better based on what it is that you are doing in your current state. Don't forget, your current state turns into a past state, which also impacts your future. So you can do something now to actually better yourselves. We're going to use the example of retirement. There are people who are in a corporate environment that have the opportunity to contribute towards their 401k. That is an opportunity in your current state that can impact your future self. If you decide to max out on your 401k, your future self will have an abundance of resources, of energetic money or money, finances, a healthy nest to be able to retire with a large cushion. Okay? That is how your past selves helped out your future self in what you're doing in terms of retirement investments. Okay, that is a great example because a lot of my viewers are people who are in the 9 to 5, and they're also people who are, business owners. Okay, I have those two type of audiences. And even with the business owners, you have the opportunity to contribute to IRAs, right? Roth IRAs, and be able to max that out. So you are also putting yourself in a space where you can build a healthy nest for yourself, your future self, okay? So that is a way that you can have better. In your relationships, let's get into it. All right, come a little closer. All right, in your relationships, you can choose the better. That means if someone in your circle or your spouse or your child responds in a way that because they're unconscious to what they're doing, but you are now moving in a state of consciousness, if they're doing something that is not making you feel good, you don't have to match their energy. Okay, that is so important. Why? Because how you respond can dictate the outcome. Okay, and your future self can also be in a day and time. It can mean tomorrow. Okay, that is also the future. Your future doesn't always have to be 10, 20 years. It could be the next upcoming days, weeks, month. Okay, because that situation has not happened yet. So whatever has not happened is in the future. So you can change that outcome, and depending on how you respond. So let's just say someone gets smart at the mouth and it hits you. You're like, who they talking to, right? They talking to me. You might want to rebuttal and say something negative as well. But if you choose to use better words, because you understand that how someone responds is based on what they're going through, and most times it has nothing to do with you, then you can give that person grace and be able to respond in a better way. And also use that example, that situation, as a means to teach them how to respond better. God taught me years ago on not yelling at my kids and not spanking my children and having a conversation with them. God speaks to us in ways that we don't truly always understand. And God helps us to be able to be guided in our decisions, and we get to choose. And we have to be able to teach our children, our friends, our family that same philosophy is in the fact that they get to choose. So if your child, pops off on the mouth and they say something that is like having you, question their, them and be like, who you're talking to, you can actually pause, recognize that they are in a state of not knowing and they've allowed their anger to speak and respond in a positive way to where they can now hear you because you're calm about it, you correct them in a loving way, and you speak life into them. Speaking life into situations is going to change your life because you are now understanding that you get to choose what is good or what is bad. We all are subject to the understanding of good and evil. Okay? We can look back to, Genesis, 3, where the fall happened. And that's where, because Adam and Eve, they ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, now mankind mind is now open to good and evil, which means that you get to choose the good or the bad. Okay? And evil, doesn't always look the same way. But if you act out of frustration, that can fall under the umbrella of being in the evil state, right? Because you're doing it in a vindictive heart, ill will, not wishing people well, right? There's things that are not our opposite of love. It's showing up in hate and dislike. And when you recognize that there is polar opposites, right? The good, the speaking life, saying, I pray for you, saying that I want the best for you, challenging someone's state of being when they're not doing the right thing and helping to educate them by giving them the knowledge and the wisdom, you will be operating in the state of good. Everything we do is a choice. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything you do is a choice when it comes down to how you eat, what you eat. If you exercise or if you don't. What you put into your mind. What type of information are you consuming? So with that, you are choosing by watching this video to consume information that's going to help give you wisdom and build your knowledge, right? So you're choosing to consume good things versus watching a television show with people fighting and fussing and gossiping. That is choosing something that is not helping you grow, but giving you the space of contentment in a negative light that is not doing anything for you. God had me to move away from watching gossip shows back, I will say officially in 2018. I transitioned really in 2017. By 2019, I wasn't watching any of those housewife shows and basketball wife shows because it was just filled with anger and gossip and betrayal and not doing right by others. So, and for that reason, it was more of like, God is like, those people are already paid. So you have things to do. You have businesses to build, and you need to be able to focus and be able to prepare in the now for your future self to be able to have prosperity, abundance, be in a state of generosity, be able to share, have love, joy, happiness, and be magnetized to all the great things that God has for me. So I chose to operate in a different space. And a lot of times people feel like things have more control over them than they can help. And I'm here to tell you, you have more control over things than you actually know. You have authority over the decision rights in what you do. You get to choose. No one can choose for you. Someone can pour into you and give you the information that you need, but it then becomes your choice in what you decide to act on. So I can tell you all the things that is life and allow you to be in a space of wisdom and knowledge, understanding and clarity. But if you choose to do nothing with that wisdom, you are choosing to be in a state of lack, and you're choosing to not protect the betterment of your future self. And that is something that I had to acknowledge in my journey with God. I had to start saying, I started saying to God, I don't want to waste your wisdom. Because at some point I started realizing that God was giving me all this wisdom to the prosperity plan that he has for me. And the more that I understood it and the more that God showed me and opened my eyes and removed my blindness, me being lame and me being paralyzed to move on things, that I started realizing, oh my gosh, God, you've been giving me the secret sauce this entire time. And there are things that I'm doing, but there's so much more I could be doing. And I did not want to delay the betterment of my future self off of my laziness, me being idle, and me being disobedient. And here's the thing, a lot of people are. I'm not here to call someone out in a negative light. I'm here to shed the light of God into a situation to say, you can have prosperity. It's already yours. You just may not know that it is. You can have abundance. You already have it. You just may not understand what that looks like. You can have money. You may not see it in your reality, but if you keep being diligent and budgeting and planning and being a good steward of the money that God is giving you, you can have all those things. You can have a healthy relationship when you choose to speak better to each other, okay? You can choose to look good in your body, in yourself, and have that confidence if you're choosing the right foods to consume. So there's so much that you can do to better your future state. And I want to empower you to know that it all boils down to the choices that you make. Your current state turns into your past state, which impacts your future state. Everything you do is a reflection, and it shows in the reality of what is in the now, but it also changes the scope of what it is that's going to happen. So if someone who is in despair and all they see is lack and all they do is feel is broke and broken, then if they continue with that, they will reach 70, 80, and 90 years old in that same state. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to have a lot of regrets. They're going to wish that they did not do the things that they did. And I'm here to tell you, if you understand this, the person who is feeling despair about a situation in the now, if you change your attitude, your perspective, if you stand in your authority to know that God has you, if you stand in your authority to know that God won't forsake you, if you stand in the trust and the faith and the belief that God is guiding you each step of the way, you can have a bright, amazing, and abundant future. I am here to tell you it is possible because I know it, because I'm living it, okay? So again, your choices. Your choices, your choices, your choices. I have to keep saying it because it is something that sounds so simple, but it really is, okay? It goes back to the laws of assumption. You can assume a negative outcome, or you can choose to assume a positive outcome. How you perceive life is your mindset. What you are set in your belief is what is your outcomes are based on, what is showing up in your reality. So if you feel like there's no good men out there, then you are negatively impacting your future self. You are saying that there's no one out there for me, so therefore I'm never going to be in a good relationship. Whereas myself, back in 2003, I want to say it was 2003. It might have been 2002, but I would say 2003. I knew that there was someone out there for me, okay? So between those, 2000, 2003, I was confident that there was someone out there for me that will love me for me, that will treat me well, that will do right by me regardless of. Unconditional love. And because I kept that faith, I was able to manifest, a beautiful marriage of now 19 years. And I say that to say that you have the ability to do the same. And I was having this conversation at that time with someone who did not believe. And it took them a while to be able to shift their mindset. And now them as well are in a beautiful marriage. Your mindset will impact your outcomes. It is your outcomes. It is the state of what you're set in and what you believe, your perception about life. It is exactly what is manifesting in your true reality as we speak. So, but the great news is, if you are someone who is struggling with your mindset, if you are someone who's struggling with happiness and joy and your connection with God, there's a shift that will happen when you start seeking the better. And you don't always have to be in that state. You just have to know that you can have the positive outcomes in life. if you want it. You have to choose. It is a choice. Your current situation, what you see, does not mean that it will always be that way. It means that you get to make choices in the now that can help that situation become better. Okay, so I want you all to be empowered to know that you have the ability to obtain the wealth of wisdom that God is sharing with you to be able to have better, be better, and feel better. As the wealth sharer, it is my duty to help you find alignment in your path that God has for you. That alignment means that you are understanding that you are one with God in everything, and that God has a prosperity plan for you already set. And that prosperity plan does not just mean finances. It means good relationships. It means good relationship with God. It means that you put God first. You are treating others well with love, respect, compassion. And you just know that when you do good things will return to you. And you're not doing it for the state of good things coming to you. You're doing it more to make God happy, because that's my life. I like to make sure that I'm making God happy, which is what I tell God. God, I pray that this world will make you happy. And one by one, someone will turn their life around to be able to speak life into themselves and others so they can do better, have better, and build a wealth to be able to share the wealth. The wealth sharer, I pray that you're able to get everything you need from this video and be able to help your current self take care of your future self. Bye.